Hello, hello. Blessed Yule to everyone. Let me get this up. Good. Okay. So, hello, everyone. Blessed Yule. I hope everyone is having a really wonderful longest night so far. I'm going to light my charcoal because I never remember to light it so that it is ready for when I need it. Hello. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Owl's Perch. Redrum, hello, sweetheart. All right. Blessed Yule. I hope everyone is able to somewhat enjoy this Yule longest night. Just lighting my charcoal here because it takes a while to get it going. So I had anticipated doing a meditation tonight. And as the universe does, everything in its perfect time, I could not find a meditation in time. I could not finish my Scotty meditation, and I realized it wasn't right for tonight. And we had an incredibly, insanely busy day at work. And so I didn't get to work on it then either. And so I realized that this was a different kind of solstice, and I found a story that is, obviously, this is what the universe wanted me to do. So, oh, I love you guys too. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Sonia, Sister Jude. Hello, Crimson Moon, Sibelia, Karen. Hi, guys. So this is going to be a little bit different than any kind of Yule I've ever done. You may notice that it seems a little bit darker in here than it normally would. And that's because for the longest night, we really are kind of starting in relative darkness. Obviously, because I'm doing a video, I kind of have to have a little bit of light in here. But as we go, we'll be lighting up some of the candles on the altar, which is here. And a lot of that light will come back, and that will hopefully coax the sun back into coming back around again. In the meantime, as I said, you too, Hexen, Paperback, hello, and Heidi, hi, honey. I kind of got a hint from the universe all at once what to do. It's funny that on my way home, I was thinking I was kind of bummed because we have this great conjunction, right? That is 2-3 stars or more actually conjoining together and looking like one big Yule time star this year. First time in, 500, 600 years. And tonight is the best night to view it. Well, we have in Western New York, we have rain and full cloud cover, so we can't see one star. Now, if you have cloud cover, you should be able to see the conjunction pretty well the next couple days, so keep your eye out. It's going to be it's going to look like a big, beautiful star tonight, but you'll be able to see kind of this big conglomerate of stars for a couple days. If you're missing it tonight, don't worry, you'll be able to see it again. We can certainly feel the energy of that. Anyways, even if we can't see it. And I thought, how interesting on this Yule of 2020, the longest night of 2020, when it's been this kind of a year, this tower year, where so many norms have broken down, where so much has happened, where so many reprioritizing are coming, that the universe says, you know what? Yes, the longest night is coming, as it always does. But because the rest of the year has been shrouded kind of in this darkness, I'm going to give you a sign that you still definitely don't have to worry. I'm not going to shroud you in the kind of darkness that we normally get for the longest night. Instead, you're going to have this great conjunction of this bright, beautiful star conglomeration to look at and to shroud you in a little bit of light, even on the longest night this year. I'm not going to plunge you into that darkness that normally we would get. We're going to give you this sign that of course, the light will come again. Of course, the sun will rise again in the morning. What a beautiful sign. And I know, cloud cover here too. So in that same vein, I found a story that I'll be reading. Yep, me neither, Serana, but you should be able to see it for the next couple nights. It won't be as bright and beautiful as, and look like one complete star. But we should be able to see it for, a good 2, 3, 4 nights. So keep an eye out. Hopefully one of those nights will be clear enough so we can kind of see a little bit. In the meantime, I know that there are websites that are kind of doing a live look at that conjunction. So do look that up so that you can see it live, from where you're at, even if it's on the internet a little bit, because that's good. And so it's a little bit kind of a different Yule, right? It's a little bit different longest night. There's a little bit different kind of energy with it. And I felt like, what a kind of a downer almost because of the 2020 year that we've had. But it's a great sign from the universe that it sent us this great conjunction on this year, 2020, this depressing, different, horrible in some ways, life-changing year, that it's not going to plunge us into total darkness. It's going to give us a sign that it'll be okay. So, without further ado, I'm going to light the first candle. Ooh, and the charcoal is almost ready. So I have the Yule incense. We're going to start with that because I'm going to be reading a story. I'm going to read an invocation first, and then I'm going to read a story that is about the Oak King and the Holly King, but it is not quite as traditional as the one we've heard over and over. Actually, let me read this first before I start this. I will tell you, too, if you happen to have the Green Witch Tarot, that is what I normally use for altar cards, is the Green Witch Tarot has a beautiful Holly King and Oak King representations. So I usually use them to put on my altar. Yes, absolutely you can, Heidi, for sure. Yes, yes. Use whatever incense you have, for sure. Oh, absent sun, the earth grows cold as we wait. Our vigil fire is but a small spark compared to your brilliance. Our bones grow cold, awaiting your warmth. Patiently, we await your return in the eastern sky. Impatiently, we await the first shard of light, piercing the eastern dawn, the first sign of life's renewal. Come to us, O sun, for now we wait. And I'm going to light a few of these before I start my story. And I always have many, many candles on the altar. Usually, I will tell you, usually I take off for the whole day of Yule. And so I would have lit the first candle with the setting sun. But today, I couldn't do that. So that teaches you just go with the flow, right? We do what we can do. The first candle that I'm lighting is the snow candle. I think I'm also going to light, because it's so dark already, I'm going to light my black longest night candle. And this is the candle, the one candle on the altar that will not go out. It will put itself out. When the sun reaches its height, in a couple days and the sun really starts to come back fairly strong, it will go out then. And that's a big sign that the sun has returned. So usually, as the longest night happens, the darker it gets, the more into darkness we get, I begin to light these candles. So by the end, before, the darkness is always darkest before the dawn. By the end, before the dawn, all of the candles will be lit. And they will stay lit until they go out normally. So we're going to start with some of the incense, and then I'm going to read the story, a new version of the story of the Holly King and the Oak King. So just close your eyes for a minute. Bring yourself into the presence of the longest night. Feel fully and deeply the battle that has begun between the Holly King and the Oak King. Now listen to a new parable of the Oak King and the Holly King. This parable is by Erica Barron, and I will leave the link in the down bar after this uploads. I will also leave the link in the Facebook page for those of you who'd like to see it or use it. The story is told that in the beginning there were two gods who were brothers, and like many brothers, they struggled with each other for ascendance and power. One brother was the king of the forces of life, light, and warmth. He wore a crown made of green oak branches and brought with him all growth and vitality, fertility, and abundance. He was called the Oak King. I'm going to lift it up so you can see the Holly King. His brother was the king of the forces of death, cold, and darkness. He wore a crown made of the prickly holly branches and brought with him all withering and decay, stillness and hibernation. He was called the Holly King. Hi, Leanne. That's okay. I'm just starting the story, honey. You're good. The brothers were identical in strength, and so year after year, the same pattern was repeated. Each year, the Oak King would grow strong and mighty, and during his time of dominance, the light would gradually increase, bringing with it warmth and abundance. But each year, at the height of his power, he would be thrown down by the Holly King. In the wake of the Holly King's victory, the light would gradually wane, and as it did, cold would come and the land would grow dormant. But at the height of the Holly King's power, he would be challenged again by the Oak King and would fall. And the cycle would repeat again and again and again. Alone, the brothers were equals. But soon there came a race of beings known as people. The people watched this cycle, and pretty soon they began to take sides. The people loved light and warmth, and they feared darkness and cold. And so each year they would celebrate the victory of the Oak King, but they would mourn the victory of the Holly King. When the two struggled with each other, the people would lend the strength of their voices and their bodies, their minds and their spirits to the Oak King, but the Holly King was without their support. And so time went by. Over time, the people's adoration of warmth and light only grew. And so they began to invent ever new ways to find light in the darkness and warmth in the cold. And finally, if they wished it, they could spend all of their time in the light they had created, and they could be warm all year long. But their efforts to stay always in the light and warmth were not without consequences. Generations passed and generations again, and the people did not at first notice the shifts in the balance. But finally, they could ignore it no longer. The people began to notice that darkness was disappearing from the land, driven out by millions of lights the people had created. Animals, birds, plants, even people began to suffer the effects of light unbalanced by darkness. But it was not just darkness that was disappearing. Cold began to flee too. The whole world began to get warmer. Summer began sooner and lasted longer. Ice that had been frozen far longer than the longest memory of the oldest person in the land began to melt. Migrating birds and animals began to be confused about when to begin the migration. Plants themselves, rooted in climates that no longer supplied their needs. The air was changing, and the winds that had brought rain and taken it away again began to flow in unexpected directions, causing drought here and flood there where never before was there. The people began to see that their support of warmth and light over cold and darkness had altered the balance of the whole world. They began slowly, one at a time, to realize that the Holly King was dying. And for the first time, this thought filled them with fear. What would happen if the balance continued to be destroyed? Could they even survive in a world without the Holly King? And in the world of the gods, the Oak King realized it too. And although they had been competitors in all these many centuries, he also realized that he loved his brother deeply, and he could not live without him. The longest night came, and the Oak King and the Holly King met again. But this time, the Oak King had no heart for the fight. Instead, he laid down his sword and his spear. He came open-handed to his brother, who was struggling just to stay on his feet. The Oak King wrapped the Holly King in a tight embrace, and he promised to set aside their enmity and to help his brother heal. On the night when usually he claimed descendants, the Oak King realized that the world was already too warm and too light. And so he laid the great oak crown on the head of his brother, took his hand, and each supporting the other, they went out into the world to see what could be done to restore the balance. So, no, I don't want to stop. So, quite the story, and quite the truth in the story. It is a very good story. And again, funny that first, before I found the story, my thought was, how interesting that after this crazy year, that the universe sends us this great conjunction. So there isn't pure darkness like there usually is. It's okay, Courtney. It wasn't that long. You can watch it back. Is that a Santa cookie jar? Yes, of course it was. Yes. So, one thing I did because of this, it made me really think about, usually I celebrate the victory of the Oak King. As a matter of fact, on my altar, you will see, so I have the Oak King here. And that is based on the candle with the oak leaves in it that I will not light until the sun comes back up, because that's the victory of the Oak King and the antlers. And then I usually take away the Holly King from the altar and blow out his candle. And this year, I think not. I think I'll be leaving. I keep touching the wrong button. I think I will be leaving him on. Then you're in an area the conjunction was visible. I know it. Hexen can see it. Hexen did see it. So if you look it up online, there are people who are live streaming it, or like NASA usually shows big events like that. And we should be able to see it for the next couple of days too. So it's not going to be as perfect as it was tonight, but I can't see it either. So, so I'm going to change up my ritual a little. I'm going to leave the Holly King there. It made me think. I've been talking about, put a little more incense here. I've been talking about how interesting it is to me that this year, of all years, Scotty has really come to me very strongly. And I have felt the cold much less than I normally do. I've really embraced the cold. You know, that Santa knows karate. He has a black belt. Ah, ha, ha, Leanne. Hi, Krista. And so, you know, it really makes me think that we really need to embrace the darkness a little more. And I know a friend of ours, of the channels, who used to be on a lot. I really think that he had a great idea when once a week he and his partner would not use electric lights and stuff. They would put candlelight out, and she'll be hunting and wearing skins and furs soon. You never know. You never know. The vision that I have of Scotty is in a long white deerskin coat, so you never know. Loved it. Loved the Scotty song. Loved it. But I think that would be a great tradition to start, because it helps with light pollution. To just turn off your outside lights, turn off your inside lights once a week, once a month, whenever you feel like you can. I think I want to do it once a week this winter. I want to make a point of going outside a lot more than I used to. And Scotty is really calling me to be outside. And so I've seen that too, Sarana. Yes. With the horns, right? She's the one with the the deer horns. So it would be a great remembrance to, I picture you in this long white fur coat and antler crown. I do too. And that's the vision that Scotty gave me too, Hexen. So I could see that. So I think I'm going to incorporate that this winter for me. And to embrace a little bit more the cold, to embrace a little bit more the darkness. I think that story, you know, really shows us that we have gotten to the point where we rely so much on not ever feeling uncomfort. Well, you know what? That's a part of the cycles. Well, I mean, what's the big thing that I talk about through every Sabbath is the wheel of the year and the turning of the year and the continual cycle that comes and goes. And we're losing the feeling of that cycle because we have light and heat and warmth whenever we want it. So there is no feeling of that cycle. Sometimes some places that people live now, that you don't feel the seasons at all. You have a constant temperature. Well, that's not the way the universe built us to be. For when I finally don't have a child to nurse, and I really do. Yes, a winter fast. That would be great too. I also feel that, yes, that applies to 2020. It absolutely does. And I think for sure 2020 was another way to make us reprioritize what's important to us. And what it is that we have to do and how we have to live, and maybe what we have to decide is important, is honoring those cycles and not making us not feel a different way. That cold, there's a reason that we feel cold. I did post, Freya Norling did a brilliant video about winter depression and why the people of Norway, she lives in Norway, where there is no light for a while. Like they go for months without light. And they don't have depression from that. And she explains why, how they deal with that darkness and why they don't have depression from that. And it is about the cycles and about the cycles that you put yourself through. And what she talks about is they become like the reindeer. Yeah, wasn't it a great video? I'm so glad somebody watched it because I just really embraced that. They become like the reindeer and they follow the cycles that the reindeers follow. And yes, there is darkness, but they sleep when they need to sleep and they get up and they eat a little and then they go out and they are out in the winter and out in the cold and they're out in that and it acclimates them to the darkness as well as makes their bodies stronger against that. And Leanne, it is, I just took it off of the announcements, but I will, I'll tag you in where I had it. So good. Just so good. What a great way of thinking about things. And again, it's like it all has been tied in together. It's funny, this is not at all the ritual or the meditation or anything that I imagined for tonight. But because the shop got so busy and I was unable to take off for it, things happened that, I had to change my plans. And because of that I found this great story about this. So I do think it's a wonderful thing. And it's a reminder and it's a great lesson for the night and for the year coming. So good. As a matter of fact, hang on and I'll try to find it because I just took it off of... Hold on. F-R-E... nope, Y-I-A. Freya. Ah, here it is right here. Copy link address. Now, that's the Facebook link. Hopefully that works. Yes, it does. Okay. So that is the video I'm talking about. And so just what I need to be thinking about. Good. It's not a year where we get to decide what happens. Exactly. This has been a year that we have to just learn to accept what is. And it goes back to, can we accept the present moment? If we can learn to accept what is right now, then there is less suffering because we don't try to change what is. So keep that in mind. That is something that we can follow through and carry through with us. It is a time we got this. Yep, we got comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. Exactly, Court. Yes, exactly. So as I continue throughout the night, like I said, I'll be lighting candles. For the first year since I can remember, I'm going to leave the Holly King on the altar all night. I may leave him up until Imbolc because I think he deserves to be there this year. I am going to do a video at dawn. It probably will not be a video that you will be allowed to comment in because I'm going to just record what I normally would do, which is like an invocation to the sun as the sun rises. And it's a very personal experience that I'm absolutely willing to share with you and allow you to do with me. But it is not something I would be commenting on or talking back and forth like I normally would with you guys because it's very focused on the sun and the rise of the sun. So watch for that. What time is dawn for you? It's a good question. I haven't even looked it up yet. That's how crazy it's been. Sunrise. (7:40 a.m. my time). So, which means yeah, by 7:40 we can actually see the sun. So it's going to be around 7 probably that I'll be out there waiting for that first glimmer of sun. I just love that view. I haven't, found where I can see the sunrise the best here, and I'll be going out to kind of take a look and seeing where I know it's gonna rise. So about 7 o'clock my time, I'll be out there greeting the sun, and I just kind of do an invocation to the sun, light a candle, and I will allow you into that. Now, the only caveat to that is going to be my internet is not great outside. And we've already kind of seen that. I'm going to try to stay as close to my home as I can so that I catch my internet still, because I've learned that when I go away from my Wi-Fi, I don't get any internet. But I think I should be able to find a spot right around, you know, the back here that I can see the sunrise and be outside still. So, and still catch my internet. So my ancestral traditional lands are the slopes of Bavaria and the BC coast just around the Alaskan Panhandle. The cold feels like a part of my life energy. It does this year for me more than it has on any other year. A little bit last year. It's like Scotty was introducing herself last year, and this year is really, really hitting me with that energy of cold and darkness and how that should be great. Feel free to come over. I wake up at 6. You're not working? Oh yeah, you're not working. You're working from home. I forgot that. I wish I had come over before, because I might, but you know, I don't know where you live, and I'm terrible, so I would be driving around in the dark trying to find you. So 4 o'clock my time. Are you going to take a siesta before that? Yes, I usually, at this point in my life, I'm a little bit, especially because I have to work tomorrow. We have a live to do tomorrow. So I probably will not be staying up all night tonight, although I usually stay up pretty late, but I need at least a couple hours to really be able to function tomorrow. Thank goodness I have meds now. That really helps. No longer believed in himself. I will look at that. I go to bed about sunrise. Yeah, so, and normally, it's funny, normally I take off for the night of Yule and the night or after, the day after. But it's a different thing working where I am now, that, you know, it's kind of a big store day. We have a live tomorrow to do, so there is not taking off tomorrow, but, and I'm too damn old to function without sleep, at least live on camera. But I'm excited. I love just the view of the candles as they burn all night.